I feel like most people have a love it or hate it relationship with George Dickel Tennessee whiskey, but I don't have too much experience with it. So today we're going to be trying this George Dickel Tennessee whiskey bottled and bond 13-year-old and find out, is it good?
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies. So before we begin with our whiskey video, I thought it would be fun to give some whiskey shout outs. There's another channel on YouTube called Chappie's Tiki Bar, and he's been doing a 7-day challenge to shout out other channels. And unfortunately, I don't have the time constraints to post 7 videos over 7 days to give 7 shout outs. So I thought I would give 5 whiskey shout outs today, and then in a cocktail video, I'll do 5 cocktail shout outs. So for my 5 whiskey channel shout outs, I'm going to shout out Whiskey Nightcaps, one of the best channels on YouTube for whiskey content. I'm going to shout out, Taylor Poindexter. She does some really great stuff with whiskey, knows her stuff really well. Fun with Whiskey, that's another really good one, small channel that's really good. Whiskey Corner, another pretty small channel that gives really good content. And then one that's pretty big but just offers just wonderful content, and that is Bourbon Real Talk. So those are going to be my 5 whiskey shout outs. Now let's get to tasting some whiskey. So I will freely admit that there are some gaps in my whiskey knowledge. I haven't had too much Indian whiskey, I haven't had too much Japanese whiskey, and I haven't had too much Tennessee whiskey outside of Jack Daniel's. And I think part of the reason for that is because this tends to be a really love it or hate it product, and the people who hate it are really loud, and so I've avoided it over the years. And the other day I was looking at the store and I saw this particular bottle. It's 13 years old and it's $50, and that just sounds like a bargain to me, even if it's not a world beater. So I'm really excited to give it a try. So George Dickel Tennessee whiskey bottled and bond, 50% alcohol, 100 proof. Now you might be asking yourself, what is the difference between Tennessee whiskey and bourbon? And to be honest, there isn't much of one. Both have to be made in charred new oak barrels. Both have to be at least 51% corn. The only real difference is the fact that they use a different charcoal filtration process on the Tennessee whiskey. And that gives the Jack Daniel's and the Dickel specifically a slightly different flavor. So Dickel juice here, 13 years old. That is a really old whiskey for America standards, under $50. All right, guys, let's try out this George Dickel and find out what it's all about. Ooh, it's got a little bit of a nose of charcoal. Lemons, brown sugar. Yeah, you get a lot of age in there, a lot of charc flavored coming through from the barrel. There's a little bit of cinnamon. I feel like age often helps to balance out the alcohol flavors, so it doesn't taste too strong even though it's 100 proof. There's a balance on that though. It ages too long and then it just tastes like charcoal. From what I hear, I have not had a wide range of experience with really old bourbons, but that's what people say. Yeah, sweet, brown sugar. The finish on it is really familiar. Cherries, a little bit of cherries. Well, I think we may have found a George Dickel fan here, because for $50, this is a really good bargain. Before I poured this, I grabbed another bottled and bond. I grabbed P.H. Taylor small batch bottled and bond, and I poured a glass of this. And I remember thinking when I was drinking it, I go, oh, that Dickel's in trouble because this is so good. But yeah, the EH is better, but you know, not dramatically so. And I kind of like the older character of this one. It gives it a really nice complexity on the finish, especially where you got the charred oak coming through along with the mellowing of the rye spice that you get from a lot of younger bourbons. I thought it might be a good idea to give a quick comparison between the two bottles I was just talking about. So I poured a little bit of E.H. Taylor small batch in here. Another bottled and bond bourbon. I think they say it's aged between 4 and 6 years. No age statement on the bottle. This has the 13-year age statement. I mean, you can smell a little bit of oak coming off of it, a little bit of char coming off of it. Like you're smelling a campfire 3 or 4 houses down, something like that. I wonder if I just inception myself, because I've heard people say that Dickel tastes like Flintstones chewable vitamins, and I kind of taste that a little bit. I don't know if it's really there or if I'm thinking about it, so therefore I taste it, but also your typical warming spices. Brown sugar, because it is very sweet. It's really good. It is really good. It's compared to the small batch E.H. Taylor. Should smell it first. Apple. Lemons. Very fruit forward nose. Not as sweet as the Dickel. Still has some barrel char flavor coming through, of course, but just not as strong as it is on the 13-year. Really quality bourbon, a lot of cinnamon, a lot of warming spices. The typical vanilla notes you get from almost every bourbon. Just a solid bourbon, I would say. More complex, more age going on this one. But this is a better bourbon. That's probably why people hunt for it. But as far as talking bad about Dickel, won't be something I ever do. Drinking buddies, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.